Hey everyone, Coach Patrick here, back with another weekly Facebook Live session. This is an opportunity for you to connect with me, for me to connect with you, to expand the Endurance Nation approach, the ethos of getting information out there. Everything we do inside the team, all signal, minimal noise, is helping one another to be better. So it's a huge part about not just the motivation and accountability, but also shared knowledge and then iterating on that shared knowledge. Part of that is talking in public about our questions, sharing answers and resources, and helping advance the dialogue together as a community, whether it's helpful for just an individual like yourself and questions related to you, or helpful to a cohort of people or even to the greater team. So in the Q&A session, which is the last session of every month, I cover some topics that people have been asking over the course of the past couple of weeks, just related to training and racing, things that have been highlights inside the community. As a reminder, inside the team, we do office hours every Monday night. So I get a chance to connect with 20 to 30, sometimes 40 athletes in that basis. And then obviously ongoing communications inside the community all during the week. So the topics I bring to you today are a culmination of those items. So if those of you who are on the team, if you missed those topics, hey, you get to catch them here in your Facebook feed. If you didn't miss those topics, you're not on the team, here's a chance for you to kind of get a little bit of an insight as to what the team has been wrestling with and maybe hopefully be some use to you and some insight to you and maybe even inspire you to come check out the team. All right. So number one, hot topic of the list. Ironman moved Kona again. They moved it from October to February, just like last year they moved it from October to February. What do you do, right? Well, first, you just have to have a little moment to just take a breath and be like, oh, like for some of you, this is your 2020 Kona experience pushed to 2021, now pushed to 2022. And for those of you who waited a long time for this to happen, I know how frustrating it can be, and I do hear you. The considerations, please think first of the amazing people on the island who host us, who take care of us, and what it would mean for their small group to host 10,000 plus people from all over the globe. It's just not safe at the end of the day, regardless of the percentages. The numbers don't look good when you look at cases per 100,000, but there's only so many people in Hawaii, and you're adding, 10% of that number to the island just with one event. It's just not great, right? So out of respect for the island and all it's given to us, I understand the need to push the event back. But from an individual perspective, there are some things that we can do. It's roughly 24 weeks until Kona is scheduled to happen in February of 2022. And so this is what we're talking to our athletes about. We've broken those 8 weeks down into 3 separate chunks, and we've given them specific guidance on the macro level. And then we work individually, whether on your own or with a coach or whatever that may be, on personalizing those different 8-week cycles. So the first 8-week block, believe it or not, is hold on to 2021. Don't let that fitness go. It's tempting to just back off and be like, I don't have to do anything. The race isn't for 24 weeks. I'm going to take things down a notch. I'm going to recover from this year, whatever this year was, and then move forward. And I think that's a big mistake. The weather's nice right now. It's the end of summer. We're heading into fall. There's still plenty of good time for training. And the year isn't actually that long. We're barely 2/3 of the way through it. And I think you'll be okay if you keep training. And in fact, I recommend that you do. If you don't have an event on the schedule, and some of our athletes are switching to different races later in the year, we can manufacture an event for you or manufacture a challenge for you as well. But I would look at those next 8 weeks, basically remainder of now, all the way through the end of October, mid-October, of continuing the good work of your training. So even if you're not doing a race in the fall, we still want to keep some of that longer volume up. We want to continue pushing the overall system northwards in terms of fatigue and stress, not in an unsustainable way, but in a natural building load way, laying the foundation for what we'll be doing in the next 16 weeks, the next 2 8-week blocks. Okay. So find that motivation, find that target, keep the pressure on, not in a negative way. Don't push yourself to injury ever, but certainly not now, but do keep that pressure on. Now, the second 8-week block, that's where we're going to shift gears a little bit and get into some intensity. So similar to what we do inside Endurance Nation in our out-season program, where we build fast before far, many of our other time-saving metrics that help you become a better athlete on a fixed schedule, we will reduce some of that basic volume for you across the board. Keep a key strategic long ride on the weekends, because we are going to be inside at that time on Zwift in our Zwift groups, which will be definitely sort of mentally challenging for sure, but good heat acclimation. And then we're going to do a lot of high intensity work to kind of build up some of the musculature that you've lost, some of that high end fast twitch muscle fibers that have sort of been neglected during your volume period here in the fall. Great opportunity for you to stress a different energy system and see some results on a different schedule. So we get variety in schedule, we get variety in stress, and we get to work on new skill sets and new environments. come out of that 8-week session, and then we have essentially 8 weeks left to go to the big dance. We're going to complement some of the longer weekend work you've been doing by adding in some more volume across the board, really getting back into swimming at this point in time, and do some of that heat acclimation work to prepare you for Kona. A great Kona is the combination of not only solid fitness and mental toughness, but also showing up in an optimal state. And by optimal, I don't mean peak fitness and peak fatigue. I mean high fitness, low fatigue, completely focused on what your objectives are for the day. So for some of you, you're going back and we want to have a faster race or a faster part of the race. For others of you, it's your first time and it's meant to be a place where you can experience the event, be fit enough to enjoy it, and have a good time. So whatever your goals may be, take a look at that 3 8-week block framework. If you got further questions, hit me up here inside the chat. I'll be happy to talk you through it. All right. The next question that I've been getting lately, upgrading to ultra running. So, okay, the try scene seems a little sketchy, not to mention that we've had some incredible performances, not just folks like Mark Cardinal at Leadville in the 100 or Francis Picard at like whatever the French sounding race was in Quebec. That was awful. I'm not even going to try and say it. Or our other ultra runners as well, like Gabe at the Cocodona. We have lots of people doing long distance running and others who are trying to break into the space. And folks say to me, okay, aside from signing up for this long distance race, what do I need to do? And so for me, what I really counsel ultra runners or athletes who are beginner ultra runners, not beginner athletes, is telling them that getting into ultra running really requires a mental shift, a shift away from running for speed and instead running for time, adding the focus on consistency and durability to your regimen. And that takes quite a bit of time. It's actually very freeing once you're inside that space. If you're no longer chasing a time from here to the mailbox and back, and instead you're focused on just the running time, adding cumulative run time, building a run streak, for example, it gives you a lot more bandwidth with inside that run. You have room to think. You have room to like listen to ebooks. You have room to experience the places where you're running because you can appreciate them now. Your world has now been narrowed down to this focus of sort of suffering and sweat and just the sole arbiter of performance being speed or watts, whatever that may be. And so what I would encourage you to do, number one, is to sort of rethink your running, pick some new routes, redefine what running might be for you on a couple of key segments during the week so you can continue to have the run experience, but do so on a really fun and less hardcore level than perhaps you've done in the past. Outside of that, I would pick 1 or 2 events in the fall. There's plenty out there where you get a chance to do some trail running and off-road running just to get into the game. Doesn't have to be anything long. It could be a 10K, it could be a 15K, but really get a sense of what it's like to run off-road, the equipment you need, how to pace yourself, the nutrition aspect of it, etc. It's a fun way for you to get more specific with your training, but without all the volume and the distance and the pacing and fitness considerations that will be required for a longer event. So pick something fun because you may want to get a Camelback. You're going to want to get some trail running shoes. You'll be spending some time off-road to prepare for the event. The event itself, in other words, will help direct some of that training for you, okay? As you move along that seriousness spectrum, the next piece for you, what is it? It's crewing for someone else. So whether you're an experienced athlete or just someone who's getting into it, crewing for someone else is a great way to put your learning on the fast track. Not only are you running, but you're also picking up all of the other energy that's coming from other people inside the space. And that's really helpful. You're just learning and just absorbing everything that's happening. And for me, that's a really powerful experience. And I do encourage you to check it out. So just reach out here inside the team. There's plenty of other people who are running, so it's easy to find someone to crew for. Or if you're going to pick a race and invite someone to crew for you, it becomes sort of a virtuous cycle as people add and add value to one another and add positive experiences. So do check that out for sure, right? And then finally, really start taking a look at next year. So, zoom way out and pick a spot way off on the horizon and identify that challenge event. So it's something that you can either work into your season that you might otherwise already have on the agenda, whether it's postponed races or your main sport, if ultra running is not going to be your main gig next year, or it's going to be something that we're just going to do solo and it is the main gig and we're going to, kind of clear the decks and really focus in on it. What are those elements? Regardless of what you do, we need to be sort of intentional about how we're going to structure the training so that we stay focused and healthy. And we're also mentally and physically able to sustain the work required to be successful. the longer away the race, the easier it is to fall into the rut of consistent training that eventually kind of wears you down a little bit. We want to be smart about pacing that and, sort of from a mental energy perspective as well. So we've got lots of resources for ultra runners and a great community inside the team. So do check it out. Once you join the team, we have a place where you can join, hang out with those ultra folks, get your learning on, really get up to speed with some of our seminars, be ready to rock. All right. And the last question, and this really wasn't a question yet, but it's something I want to start talking about. So I'm kind of cheating, which is preparing for a better winter. Now's the time, folks. It's the end of August. Winter training is coming in about 2 months. Now's the time to start thinking about your winter training setup and what are things you can do to optimize it. So optimization, things that people have done in the past, obviously, is getting a smart trainer for those of you who ride bikes, or a smart treadmill for those of you who run. These are both devices. By smart, I mean they're Bluetooth enabled, they're connected to computers, they're able to mimic elevation on real terrain. They have some sort of video integration, so you're engaged in that aspect, whether it's to Zwift or just a real world screen or just a screen, so you can kind of see that information. It's super helpful. That technology side here actually enables you to make that workout feel more real, and you'll get more out of it, as strange as that seems, right? The next piece of innovation that people can have is obviously making more of a dedicated space for your winter training. Too often people sort of have, it's an aside. It's like my trainer is stuck in a closet or my treadmill folds up every time. Finding a way to make what you're doing a little more permanent makes getting on to the workout much easier, because it's just walking down and getting on it, for example. So mine's in my garage. Another element that's been helpful for me is really setting up the entertainment stuff. So I actually went out 2 years ago and bought a big flat screen TV when it was like Black Friday and got it on sale. And so I now have that set up. So when I can plug everything in on my computer, I've got that full heads up screen display, whether I'm, riding and totally immersed, or running and immersed, or I'm riding and I've got split screens and I've got, work on one side and reading and learning on the other side, or social media on the other side. All of that becomes really helpful and makes the experience of being on the bike and of my winter training much more enjoyable. Similarly, we use Discord for communication while we're riding, which is a voice-activated conversation app, as well as text, of course. We use it for the voice function. And so I have a nice microphone, looks not unlike this one, located on a stand next to my bike. So as I plug everything into my computer, people can pick it up and hear me well. It's got the whole setup so I can muffle the background noise, be really clear to people who are watching or listening, as it means for engaging. Or you can just use your headphones either. But either way, having that synchronicity of the voice chat with the video experience all connected to the bike that you're riding really adds a 360 experience. And at the end of the day, it's small change, like relative to bike components you would normally buy, and relative to the investment you might make on something else during the season, like a race. So just removing one race allows you to get most of this equipment right away. And it certainly is a big advantage for you moving forward. Not that we want you training 24/7 or doing lots of work or doing your in-season work across the entire year, but that there's quality training that happens in the winter every year. And inside Endurance Nation, we use our out-season program to do it. Our out-season program is distinctly linked to the digital experience of Zwift and other similar platforms to give you an opportunity to build quality fitness, to start the year in a new place, rejuvenated, re-energized, and not coming back from a long layoff or missing something, right? So do take the time to think about it. For those of you on the team, ask in the forums, find out from other folks what are the big elements they've made. For those of you not on the team, put it in the chat here or in the comments. I'll be happy to answer. But really stopping to think about what's going to make a successful winter for you. If it is outdoor riding, what are the gear that you need to make that happen? If it is night or morning running and it's darker in the winter, what's the reflective stuff that'll keep you happy, or the stuff on your shoes that'll keep you from falling? Really take the time to get all of that stuff now. So when we do get to winter, and winter is suddenly here, because one day it will suddenly be here, you're just turning on a switch and doing it, not saying I need to order this and there's a 12-day wait to get it. You got to suffer and miss that gap time. All right. Awesome. Hey, those are our 3 topics for this time around. Coach Patrick here from Endurance Nation signing off. I want to thank you for being part of this Facebook channel. For more information about us, go to endurancenation.us. Sign up for a membership where you can dive inside and capture more of our learning through recordings of videos like these or our seminars, or sign up for a training plan and we'll get you dialed in with your race season and make sure you're 100% on track in a sustainable and effective way. Hope you guys have a fantastic week. I'll talk to you soon.